Okay, what is the difference between mobility and flexibility? It's important when we are talking about golf, when we do our testing and trying to figure out where are your restrictions, where are your pertinent or important restrictions, how we go about that testing. So, an idea, people think they need to become more flexible to improve their ability to get into positions. Here's the thing, you don't need to be more flexible, you need to be more mobile. The difference with flexibility, and so if you think of someone who does yoga a lot, they can tend to be very flexible in certain spots. They think it's a great benefit, sometimes it is, but the issue with flexibility is that it is assessing for tissue extensibility. So essentially, say hamstring extensibility, how well does that hamstring lengthen? But it also will allow for compensations like, say, a huge anterior tilt here at the pelvis, or just the ability to, again, put the position that we're not testing, the body in a position to achieve this task that may not be reasonable, right? So, what we really want to know is what are the positions that you can get into where you can still create and develop force efficiently and effectively without compensation. So, instead of doing something like a toe touch test, though we do this in a TPI screen, it is to assess a little bit of hamstring extensibility, but we also look for how well you create flexion, not just here and here, but in the upper back and spine, right? The low back, mid back, and upper back. We get to see where you tend to hinge from. This is all important for a practitioner to really have a good understanding of when we start to work on upper body stuff. Um, and then we get to see, do you create or put force on one side over the other, right? So we're looking at other things with that toe touch test, but simply a better way to go about assessing for your ability to get into golf positions is how well can you control yourself in these positions. So we don't really look much at flexibility. An example of this is like the pelvic rotation test. So we don't just ask you to see how well your hips are able to get into certain positions, but even better would be get you weight bearing, so under load of gravity, and then from here, can we create that motion we are looking to make while using our muscles to pull you in and out of that while staying stable here, mobile here, right? So that's the difference, is that we have other tasks that we have to accomplish. We have to be strong. Another great way to do this is get you into a backswing and then see how well do we create this mobility here at the hips. So we're not just asking, can you create motion at these hips or passively create motion at these hips? Though that is a question to get to at some point. On the top end, we want to know, can you create this motion, use space and create space in these joints under load, right? While also staying, in this case, stable here. Same thing with our shoulder kind of mobility testing, where we're seeing, can you get to spine angle and or beyond while, again, you're pulling yourself against gravity into this position. Meanwhile, on the table, if we look at shoulder kind of flexibility in different positions, it's a little bit different. Now, it's important for its own reason, but at the top end, we want to look at mobility, not flexibility, and then we can dive into specific joint range of motion stuff and flexibility once we figured out that this joint is a problem, and we want to see, is there a tissue length extensibility issue? Okay, so that's the difference between flexibility and mobility. TPI does a really great job of having a ton of mobility testing, which is more important on the top end than flexibility.